Welcome to Tech in the Car. It could be said that choosing an electric car is more confusing than a traditional combustion car. Genesis, who are to Hyundai as Lexus is to Toyota, has some of the most interesting EVs out there. In this video, find out which of the GV60 and the Electrified GV70 you should buy as I compare them.
This is the Genesis GV60. Now this is a small SUV crossover, but as an EV, it takes everything to the next level. This car is built on the same platform as the Hyundai Ioniq 5 and the Kia EV6. And just like those cars, it takes all the best parts of them and takes it to the next level. We're talking better interiors, more luxury, more technology, and arguably better performance. This car has over 480 horsepower in boost mode, which is a really cool button that you press, which I'll show you a little later, and over 700 Newton meters of torque. This car, as it is, the all-wheel drive dual motor Sports Plus, is £65,000, and this car as spec is £75,000. But for £47,000, you can get the entry-level premium, which has all of the same luxury and lots of the same features as this car. So there is a model for everyone if they're interested in buying one of these cars. Now with any EV, we want to talk about range. This car has a range of about 289 miles. The premium entry-level model has a range of about 321 miles. So you gain extra power on this car compared to the 226 power from the single motor premium model, but you lose a bit of range. However, I don't mind when driving this car. The immense power is a lot of fun on this car. And this car also has a drift mode too. Now let's talk about the design of this car, because the design of this car is very, very interesting. It starts off with the telltale signature Genesis quad lights at the front and the back, and you can see these really cool square LEDs which look super distinctive. And because this is an EV, of course, it means that there's no grille where you would normally get the Genesis grille. They've migrated it down south here, and this is obviously just for design. It's an EV, it doesn't need a grille, but it looks good. It looks good. They've got the sporty bottom design here. It just looks fantastic. And you also might note the registration number of this car, GV60 SUV, which is what it is, of course. And you might be thinking, this is a very fetching color. Well, this is Matterhorn matte white paint, and this is an extra option which is quite expensive, but I think you would agree looks the part on this car. You can't argue about that. You might have noticed these amazing wheels. Genesis does alloy wheel designs like nobody else. I honestly love every single alloy wheel design I've seen on any Genesis car. These look a bit like lightning bolts to me, which is really smart for an EV. These are 21-inch wheels, and this acid yellow caliper color is an optional extra too. But these are some alloy wheels. You wouldn't want to curb them, but wow, do they impress. Now, one of the things which often gets people confused when they look at a Kia EV6 or Hyundai Ioniq 5 is how big they are in real life, because they're not small cars. This is not a small car. The rear of the Genesis GV60 continues that lovely design. We've got these quad tail lights. We've got a very flat back. It's got a tiny bit of a curve in it. Power tailgate, which is fantastic to see. 432 litres in the back of this Genesis GV60. We do, of course, have the ability to cover the back of the car if we do that. And talking about charging, it has a 77.4 kilowatt hour battery in this car. I mentioned the range before. This car also has the ability to fast charge on an ultra rapid charger, 350 kilowatts. It can do 10% to 80% in 18 minutes, just like the EV6 and the Ioniq 5. One of the coolest features of this car is the vehicle to load reverse charging, which lets you charge anything you want. And then you plug in your reverse vehicle to load charger. And I got my laptop up here, so we will plug in my MacBook Pro that I edit all these videos on. And then I get my laptop and I can plug it in. And it will start charging, and I can do my editing by the car in the countryside anyway. In fact, this car will actually charge other electric cars as well as your home potentially, depending on if you have the correct way to connect it up. This car can charge many things, not just stuff like my laptop. which, by the way, this also has a plug inside that I can use to charge my laptop as well. The front of the Genesis GV60 is amazing. The only other time I've been so impressed by the interior of a car has been when I got in the Lucid Air, the Dream Edition Performance. That impressed me. That car cost over $100,000 and it felt like a $100,000 interior. This feels like a 60, 70,000 pound or better interior. Everything in here that you touch, it feels amazing. From this beautiful steering wheel in leather, the Alcantara on the top here, we've got leather on the dashboard, we've got these two big beautiful 12-inch screens which look amazing. We've got a really nice finish here. It's just the seats, it's just, oh wow, this is just one impressive interior. This very much looks interior wise like the Kia EV6 and like the Ioniq 5, which is to be expected. They're part of the same platform, they come from the same parent companies. It makes a lot of sense, but it's just taken up a notch. We've got heated and cooled seats here. We've got a beautiful 360 surround camera system, which is amazing. We've obviously got Android Auto and Apple CarPlay in widescreen mode. We've got the fantastic Genesis controls for heating and cooling, which are really, really beautiful and tactile and work beautifully. I mean, I've not seen a Genesis interior that I didn't like. And this is the magic here. Look at this. Look what happens when I turn the car on. It turns around and now it becomes our gear selector. And then when I turn the car off, it swivels back round again. How fantastic is that? On the doors, where the door mirrors are, button to select are like beautiful milled turbines. The technology in here, the driver assistance features, we'll talk about all of that when we're driving the car. But this is a very impressive interior. This is a car which really, really, even if you've never seen a Genesis or heard of a Genesis like in some parts of the world, you will immediately go, wow, that is some kind of car. And there are no other EVs in this market at this price point which are comparable. I think this is miles better than any Audi EV or Mercedes EV or BMW EV interior. This is a step above. This is amazing. Here on the road now, the only road noise that I can hear is not road noise. It is the noise of the car, the electrified noise that it makes, which, by the way, there are three cool noises. There's the futuristic mode, which is what this is right now. There's a G motor, which sounds a bit like an electric synthesized engine. And then we have our standard electric motor noise, which just sounds like an enhanced electric motor. Or you can turn them off. Now, I know some people have preferred to turn them off. For me, I quite like the futuristic noise. It's nice to know that you're actually moving, because you can't hear the road because this car is so well insulated as a luxury car. Any outside noise just doesn't come into the car. So that's a huge deal to have some idea that you are actually moving. I mean, I can barely hear these cars driving past me now. Last night, there was somebody honking their horn very, very loudly and I could barely hear it. These are luxury, high-end levels of sound insulation in this car. This car has a boost mode, which gives it 480 horsepower. So let's try it out now. I'm going to hit the boost button. First of all, let's go into sport mode. We're in sport mode now. Boost button, go. Okay, and that's way too fast. Let's brake now. And when you do go into boost mode, the screen kind of goes all like red and you get like these warp design signatures. Whoa. Boost mode is insane. It should be called Top Gun mode, because I feel like I'm a fighter pilot in boost mode. There's no doubt that that is an insane mode, and as you turn boost mode on, the seats tighten as well to hold you in place to make sure that you don't go flapping around and fall out your seats. Technology in this car is fantastic. It's got battery conditioning, so when you use the built-in nav system and navigate to a charger, it will automatically heat the battery up to make sure that the car is all at the right temperature to charge as efficiently as possible. So battery conditioning is a huge deal to be in this car. Also, we've got the latest version of Kia and Hyundai and Genesis Group's driver assistance system called Highway Driver Assist 2 on this car, and it can automatically change lanes by itself as well, which is a bit of a magnificent bit of technology there from Genesis. They have it on their petrol cars as well, but it's always fantastic to see such technology come through to these cars. As for handling of this car, this is a heavy car, there's no doubt about that. and it feels like a heavy car. But the noise cancellation coming from just having such a well-insulated car, and the fact that it's so comfortable, and the fact that it's so effortlessly fast, means that even though you can feel the weight, it handles really, really well. Now, there's one negative I would say: range. This car should have 289 miles of range, WLTP. At 80% battery, this car was giving me 150 miles of range instead of what should have been around the 250 mark. So it's not performing as well as it could do. Now, it is cold, it is winter, it is England, and electric cars are affected by the heat and the cold. And the cooler it is, the worse performing the motors and the batteries are, which is why they have battery conditioning to heat the battery so it charges faster. However, there is a concern. You need to plan your journeys with any electric car which doesn't have super high range, and often you get an electric car which doesn't quite provide the range that you might expect when you're driving it around. In this car, that's a bit of a disappointment, because in every other way this car is amazing. Now, don't get me wrong, this car is not giving me poor range because it doesn't have a large enough battery. It's got a 77.4 kilowatt hour battery, which is the same as Kia and the same as Hyundai. I just think the combination of all this advanced technology, all this luxury, plus the weather is making the range lower. In the summer, hopefully, you would get better range. And it shouldn't let you be put off this car, because this is a fantastic car that I would highly recommend you check one out. This is the Electrified Genesis GV70. Now, if you saw my review of the GV70 from a few months ago, you will have heard me say I think this is the best SUV that you can get in 22-23. I think it's a fantastic car. It's got an amazing combination of quality, luxury, refinement, value and technology all wrapped into one, which no one else has got. The GV70 that's been electrified has a lot in common with the GV60. So the GV60 is the bespoke electric car created by Genesis based on the same platform as the Ioniq 5 and the Kia EV6 eGMP platform. And that car looks like a Genesis, but also very different. But everything that it has is carried onto this car. This car's got the same 77.4 kilowatt hour battery, a very similar range of around 283 miles compared to 289. And it's got the same horsepower, 490 PS, or about 480 or so horsepower when you hit the boost mode. 0 to 62 miles an hour in 4.2 seconds, and it has the same ultra fast rapid charging thanks to its 800 volt architecture, which means it can charge from 10% to 80% in 18 minutes on a 350 kilowatt charger. So it's got all those things in common. But what is different is this is obviously not a bespoke electric platform. This is a car which has been modified. If you look at the front of this car, it looks like a GV70, but there are some differences. This is no longer a grille used for cooling. This has now got a design in it, and in that design is also the electric car charging port. So that's nicely integrated there. The actual only real cooling on this car are down here at the bottom, which come in to cool the motors at the front, because this car has got two motors. It's got one at the front and one at the back, four-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, dual motors, each one sharing that 490 PS and 700 Newton meters of torque. Like any performance Genesis car, this seems to come to me in a matte color, which I absolutely love. I've always loved matte colors. They're more expensive, but they look amazing. Now, interestingly enough, this is actually only available as a sport trim in the UK, so there's no point in me talking to you about different trims, because unlike the GV60, there is one and only, and that is a sport trim. And the sport trim has lots of cool stuff in it, which we're going to talk about in a minute. I do love the design of the GV70, and it's very eye-catching. I keep saying Genesis make amazing alloy wheel designs, and I mean, just look at this. These are 20-inch, they look fantastic, just like all the other alloy wheels on all the other Genesis cars that I've reviewed and seen. There should be an award for Genesis for the best alloy wheel design for any manufacturer. If you agree with me, put a comment down below, because I certainly think that they deserve it. Maybe I'll send them one myself. The rear of the GV70 just looks like the standard non-electric GV70. We've got the same quad tail lights, just like on the front of the car, having the same quad front lights. We've got the same little button which opens it, which I love. We've got a spoiler, no fake tailpipes because it's an electric. We open up by pressing the button. We get a ton of space in here. We've got 503 litres of space back here. Now, because this isn't a bespoke electric car, it means there isn't actually a space to put the charger down there underneath. There is
a space there for the tonneau, and there is a space for other things, but there is not a space for this. Now they have put Velcro on the back here, which means it will stick onto here, which is nice, but it means it takes up a tiny bit of space. But there is a ton of space back here. You put down the rear seats, you have even more space. Same high quality metallic finish here, so when you put stuff into the back, you don't scratch the paintwork. Here we've also got a AC plug back here, which is very cool to see. So you can plug in something more substantial. It's got a lock on it so children can't stick their fingers in it. And we've got tether points and hooks to attach everything to. And there's a little pulley so you can put the back down. If you want to see more about the back of this car, check out my GV70 non-electrified video, because it's exactly the same back here. I can't fault Genesis for materials and qualities inside this car. Every one of their cars is top notch. The Korean companies, which are all part of the same group, are beating the Germans at their own game with interior and exterior design and quality. I mean, I can't fault them. We've got this beautiful leather interior, which is all over with fantastic stitching. We've got the metal round here. We've got our climate control system, which has beautiful knobs which you can turn, which have the number, the temperature in the middle here. Touchscreen as well, but amazing quality. Just everything. The steering wheel is beautiful. We have a boost button, just like on the GV60 we have a boost button. It's not in the same place, but we have a boost button. And then we've got the one thing which I know some people in North America are very sad about. I'm very sorry. We've got our 3D digital drivers display, which looks amazing and displays information in a layered way in front of each other, which is really, really helpful. I love that. It's actually the one thing which I wish a GV60 had, which it doesn't. And then we've got our 14.2 inch full-size widescreen display up here, which is touchscreen, but also has the ability to scroll and also has handwriting recognition built into the top as well. We've got a traditional, compared to the GV60, gear selector here, which doesn't rotate and flip round, but still is fantastic. We've got our 2 cup holders. We've got a space here for your phone with wireless charging and 2 USB, standard USB, so I might add not USB Type-C. And then we've got a ton of space down here, which I put all my wires down. These seats are amazingly comfortable. These are the special comfort seats with a comfort seat pack, which means they have many multiple ways to adjust them, to adjust this lumbar, to adjust the positioning, to adjust the thigh support. All electric, all amazing, all feels great. Also cooled as well as heated seats, these are. This car has a lot of cool technology, those 3D dials that some people are missing out on in certain parts of the world, but also a fingerprint reader, which lets you save your profile so the car will automatically configure the seating position, the radio, the temperature to whatever you want. That is some pretty cool technology, just like the GV60 has. The GV60 also has the option in some areas of having a face scanner on the outside to let you in. This car doesn't have it, but it has the fingerprint scanner. Fantastic technology in all of these Genesis cars.
Very unusually, it's been snowing here in the UK. And as you can see from looking out the windows, everything's covered in snow. Now, this car, the Genesis GV70 electrified model, has a snow mode. And I am in snow mode now. There's often a conversation about what kind of cars to have in weather like this, and the answer is 4-wheel drive, all-wheel drive. Electric cars have a huge advantage over traditional cars, because if you have a dual motor EV like this car, like the GV70 electrified, then you have motors at the front and back. So now if the front wheels get stuck, the back wheels can spin independently. That means that you're not going to have a situation where your front or your back wheels get stuck. It doesn't matter what the weather conditions are, that's irrelevant. The fact is that the wheels can take power to each individual wheel, something which you cannot do on a traditional car. Now, it is important to note there are single motor versions of EVs which don't have motors at the front and the back. This car does in this model, but the GV60 has a single motor version as well as an all-wheel drive dual motor version. Same with Tesla, same with lots of other companies. If you're worried about getting stuck, actually getting a dual motor version or a tri-motor version or a quad motor version, depending on what kind of car you have, the newest, highest performance EVs actually have quad motors. But in a traditional EV like this, having these dual motors means that both the front and the rear wheels can have 100% of the power sent to them at all times. And in this car, we've got 480 horsepower split between 2 wheels. So that means each wheel has a lot of horsepower, a lot more than you might expect it to have. So because there's a lot of horsepower here, it means you're not going to get stuck at the side of the road like these cars I'm about to go past now. All these people got stuck in the snow, and I didn't. To be fair, it's still not safe to drive when it's snowing hard, and I wasn't driving in bad weather conditions. But the point is, in this snow mode, I'm not going to get stuck. I can go up a hill. I don't have to worry about having to dig my car out and abandon it. There is one huge benefit of this car in this configuration with a dual motor in the very, very rare conditions that you live in the country where it snows. If you live in a place where it snows all the time, then having dual motor, I would argue, is essential. In terms of the power and the performance of this car, we got 480 horsepower, 700 Newton meters of torque. This car is as fast as cars get. You cannot argue that point. This car can do it in 4.2 seconds, 0 to 62 miles an hour. That is very, very fast for such a big car. This is an SUV, not a sports car. It's super, super, super fast. The problem is cold weather affects a range on the cars. It says 223 miles of range now. I've got 100% battery because I charge this car to 100%, but it's going to go down because the heating is on, the heated seats are on. In these conditions, we've got heated and cooled ventilated seats. We've got a heated steering wheel. It's comfortable to drive. It goes over the bumps very, very easily. This is a great car to drive, and actually I'm very lucky that I've had the opportunity. Sorry to everyone that got stuck in the snow here. I'm very lucky I got the opportunity to drive this car in these conditions in snow mode, which I'm in right now, taking advantage of the four-wheel drive capabilities of this car. Genesis have made some truly unique EVs, and that design flair and technology will keep improving. You just have to look at their concept cars shown off at motor shows to date. If you're going to make a choice here, then the GV60 is the best of the current crop of vehicles. It starts at the lowest price for the base model and has the latest tech, and in my eyes is the best looking of the trio. But as with anything, keep your mind open to the benefits of the other models. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe.